guys, it's your girl Hardwood Diva here with our NFL Week 2 picks. I still can't believe it. The season has started. We are having an amazing time. Fantasy football did not do so good this first week, but I made some moves, so I think we'll be doing well this week. So let's go ahead and get started with the games. First up tonight, Thursday, September 13th, we've got Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. Division rivalry. This is a really good game. We're going to see a lot. The offense for Chicago is going to look a lot better now that they've got a couple of big receivers. Before, this has been a problem for them because they've had smaller receivers that really couldn't get past those pesky Green Bay DBs. But now that they've gotten some taller guys like our 6'5" Brandon Marshall, and then their new rookie, which is about 6'3", I believe, this should be an interesting matchup. The defense for both teams this year is Green Bay just hasn't been the best of defenses anyway. Chicago's defense is not as great as it used to be. So this will be a good matchup. I'll just give the advantage to Lambeau Field. So I'll say Green Bay Packers. But let's be real, this could go either way. And this is definitely a matchup between two teams that could end up being the favorite for the Super Bowl coming out of the NFC. So I'm going with the Packers, but like I said, either way, Chicago or the Packers, they could win this game. Next up, now we've got all of our Sunday games. Kansas City versus Buffalo. Buffalo had a poor showing against the Jets last week, and I don't really see them doing too much better. Kansas City is not the greatest of teams, but I think they'll do better than Buffalo. Buffalo's lost a couple of people for a few weeks, so I'm going to have to just go with Kansas City. Next up, New Orleans and Carolina. Last week, we definitely saw why Sean Payton is so important, why Sean Payton makes $7 million a year, because that team, as great as they are, definitely needs that coach. That coach definitely works for New Orleans. Versus Carolina. Carolina did okay last week, but I'm looking to see Cam Newton have a really good game. I don't want to see New Orleans go down 0-2. With this game, though, I'm picking New Orleans. Carolina could win it, but I'm definitely going with New Orleans. I haven't seen a lot that I've, would say I don't really believe in them. So I'm going to go with New Orleans this one. Then we've got Cleveland versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati didn't do great against Baltimore, but it's Baltimore. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Cleveland did okay against Philly. Philly just looked terrible. That's Philly's fault, not really anything great for Cleveland. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati for this one. Minnesota and Indianapolis. The Colts are, they're in that year. I know people are expecting Andrew Luck to come in and do like what Cam Newton did last year. I don't see that happening. I know people are going to compare him to RG3. RG3 did really good last week, but that's because overall he had a better system in place to just walk into and do an amazing job. Indianapolis had always been solely built around Peyton Manning, and even the last, couple of years that Peyton Manning was there, the team wasn't awesome. It was good with Peyton Manning. Andrew Luck's a rookie. He's going to have to come into his own, and they don't even have the same people that they had there before. They've got one really good receiver, and that's about it. So I'm going to have to go with Minnesota for this one. Adrian Peterson came in and dominated last week. So I see him being able to do the same thing against a Colts defense that's not the best. Next up, we've got Houston versus Jacksonville. Definitely going with Houston. Maybe they won't do as good as they did against Miami's terrible selves last week, but they're going to go and still beat up on Jacksonville. So I'm going with Houston. Oakland and Miami. Oh, Miami. I'm going with Oakland. Miami, no. Arizona versus New England. Arizona's game last week was actually very interesting. They came back, not really came back and won, but they won that game, even with that, kind of quarterback controversy that they had, even with the quarterback going out and then coming in with Kevin Kolb. But I still think that New England's going to dominate them. New England did really well in their game last week, so I'm going with New England. Next up, we've got Tampa Bay versus the Giants. Going with the Giants, like I said last week, my Cowboys won. Woo! And the Giants looked okay. They always have these like weird starts where sometimes they start really great, sometimes they start terrible. I don't know. They're a good team overall. With Eli, you're never really too down and out. I don't see them playing as terrible as they did last week. Victor Cruz didn't really do well. No one really did great. So, I'm not really sure. But I'm going with the Giants. And I'm definitely going with the Giants at home over Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay looks better than they did last year, but don't see them beating the Giants. Then we've got Baltimore and Philly. Philly somehow eked out a win last week. Baltimore did an amazing job on Monday night against Cincinnati. The new offensive scheme that they've got going there with the no huddle definitely works a lot better for Flacco. But I really do like the DBs for Philly, so I'm not really sure if it's going to be as amazing. They do have Ray Rice, so this should be interesting. I do definitely think, though, it's just two really solid teams going up against each other, two teams that could very well make it to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to give it to a home field advantage, so I'm going to give to Philly, but this is another game where it's really a toss-up in my mind. Next up, we have the late games for Sunday. Dallas versus Seattle. Dallas. Seattle's okay. They've got a really good quarterback, but he's a rookie. And Dallas looked amazing versus the Giants. So I'm going with Dallas, even if it's, if they're away. I really think Dallas is going to do, pretty well against this team. Washington versus St. Louis. I'm going with the Redskins. The Redskins looked really good last week. Robert Griffin, if you had been following him, he's a good quarterback. I know a lot of people have compared him to Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow, first of all, cannot throw to save anybody's life. He's not accurate. He just heaves the ball out there. RG3 is an accurate passer. He is, if anything, more Michael Vick. But Michael Vick with accuracy is what I would say. Michael Vick wasn't as accurate, especially early on. I think RG3 may be more of a student of the game than Michael Vick was. Michael Vick was definitely relying on pure talent. It seems like RG3 might be studying and understanding schemes and really putting that, learning and actually using NFL smarts. And I see him developing as a player quickly. So I think Washington can beat St. Louis. Then we've got the Jets versus Pittsburgh. The Jets proved all of us wrong last week with 48 points. They were the highest scoring team in the entire league after scoring like one offensive touchdown in the entire preseason. They weren't lying. They were saving all of their offense for the first game. They've got some great rookie talent. I'm not going to be totally convinced of them until after this week, and we'll see how they go up against Pittsburgh's DBs, but I definitely don't think the Jets are going to be as terrible as they thought they were, and I think this is a better defensive team than we thought. So, interesting game. Pittsburgh, the Jets. This is that game where I really don't even have anything written down as far as who's going to win, because I don't know. I want to say the Jets, because I want to say Mark Sanchez is sick of you guys talking about him. Yes, you guys, not me. I haven't said anything bad about him. I'm going to go with the Jets. We'll see what happens. It doesn't matter. I'll go with the Jets. I like them. I want them to do well, so we'll go with the Jets. Next up, we've got Tennessee versus San Diego. San Diego looked good last week. This week. That was Monday. So I like them. We'll see what happens. I think they can beat Tennessee. Tennessee did not look great. They looked okay. I'm not even going to comment on, some of the things that happened in that game. But they were okay. So, but I'm still going with San Diego, especially with San Diego at home. If it was Tennessee and it was there, maybe I'd go with the Titans pulling this one out, but I'll go with San Diego. Then the Sunday night game, Detroit versus San Francisco. It's the matchup from last year, the crazy coach situation. I like San Francisco. San Francisco did pretty well this past weekend. And Detroit I like Detroit. I think they're a solid team. They've had some really crazy crap happen over the last off season. But they're a solid team overall. I mean, they've got good players. So, San Francisco, Detroit. San Francisco, Detroit. And it's in San Francisco. I'm going to go with Detroit. I can't see Matthew Stafford having as terrible a game as he did last week. I'm not very happy with him. He is my quarterback in fantasy football, and he did not do very well. So I'm going to need him to step his game up so we can do better. So I'm going to go with Detroit, though. I like them. I think their offense has a better chance against San Francisco's defense than San Francisco's offense has against their defense. So we'll see how it goes. But San Francisco's offense looked better this year than it did last year. So we'll see. It's really a toss-up game. I'm going with Detroit, though. Finally, we've got Denver versus Atlanta. This one's tough because Peyton and the boys looked really good last week. They beat Pittsburgh. But Atlanta looked really good last week. And they always look really good. They just don't know how to make it last into the playoffs. So in Atlanta, I'm going to go with Atlanta. Don't see either of the teams just having a bad game. I just see one has to beat the other one, and I'm going to go with Atlanta beating Denver. So there you have it, guys. Those are my picks. Enjoy tonight's game. If you've got any questions, any concerns, you want to ask me about something fantasy football related, give me a ring. And by ring, I mean comment. So I will talk to you guys next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful football weekend. I will talk to you guys later. Love you.